Oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention. A kingdom for a stage, princes to act, and monarchs to behold the swelling scene. In one of Shakespeare's most famous speeches, the chorus of King Henry V discusses the difficulty of presenting such an epic story on a single limited stage. But for 4 centuries, theater companies have been doing just that, and tonight, Full House is proud to present the English Shakespeare Company's Henry V, the 4th play in their Wars of the Roses cycle. Since we're spending so much time with them, over 19 hours in all, I'd like to share with you some of the background information about the English Shakespeare Company. Formed in 1986 by stage director Michael Bogdanoff and actor Michael Pennington, the ESC is exclusively a touring company dedicated to bringing large-scale productions of Shakespeare to audiences around the world. The goal of the company is to make Shakespeare accessible to today's audiences while still maintaining a high standard of performance. This 7-play cycle is the ESC's first major undertaking. Now, initially, they toured with the 2 Henry IV plays in repertory with Henry V. That was the production which played in Toronto. Then, they subsequently added 4 more plays to comprise the Wars of the Roses saga. In a telephone interview with Full House, director Michael Bogdanoff reveals that he sees in these works the opportunity to re-examine past history in the light of today, to explore, as he puts it, how the lessons of history are still being unlearned. I love that. Henry V is a tough play to do these days for a number of reasons. First, many of us have a very strong memory of at least one of the 2 fine film adaptations, both directed by leading actors, Laurence Olivier in 1945 and Kenneth Branagh in 1989. Olivier's version was made to celebrate the British effort in World War II, but the glorification of war can be a difficult theme to present today. That's why Branagh laced his film with enough irony to undercut Shakespeare's gung-ho patriotism. Bogdanoff and Pennington fall somewhere in between, and this production does a remarkable job of presenting the tapestry of war, especially from the point of view of the common soldier. The Wars of the Roses saga continues, and it's now time for us to go once more into the breach, dear friends. Join me as Michael Pennington stars in King Henry V here on Full House.
fields of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention. A kingdom for a stage, princes to act, monarchs to behold the swelling sea. Then should the warlike Harry, like himself, assume the port of Mars, and at his heels, leashed in like hounds, should famine, sword, and fire crouch for employment. But pardon, gentles all, the flat, unraised spirits that have dared on this unworthy scaffold to bring forth so great an object. Can this cockpit hold the vasty fields of France? Or may we cram within this wooden hole the very casks that did affright the air at Agincourt? Oh, pardon, since a crooked figure may attest in little place a million, and let our ciphers to this great account on your imaginary forces work. Suppose within the girdle of these walls are now confined to mighty monarchies, whose high upreared and abutting fronts the perilous narrow ocean parts asunder. Piece out our imperfections with your thoughts. Into 1,000 parts divide one man, and make imaginary puissance. Think when we talk of horses that you see them, printing their proud hooves in the receiving earth. For 'tis your thoughts that now must deck our kings, carry them here and there, jumping o'er times, turning the accomplishment of many years into an hourglass. For the which supply admit me, chorus to this history, who prologue like your humble patience pray, gently to hear, kindly to judge our play.
My lord, I tell you, that self-bill is urged, which in the 11th year of the last king's reign was light, and had indeed against us passed, but that the scambling and unquiet time did push it out of farther question.
But how, my lord, shall we resist it now?
It must be thought on. If it pass against us, we lose the better half of our possession. For all the lands which men devout by testament have given to the church would they strip from us, being valued thus, as much as would maintain, to the king's honour, full 15 earls and 1,500 knights, and to the relief of lassars and weak age, 100 almshouses right well supplied, and to the coffers of the king beside, 1,000 pounds by the year. Thus runs the bill.
This would drink deep.
'Twould drink the cup and all.
But what prevention?
The king is full of grace and fair regard,
And a true lover of the Holy Church.
the courses of his youth promised it not. Yet breath no sooner left his father's body, but that his wildness mortified in it. Seemed to die too.
The strawberry grows beneath the nettle, and wholesome berries thrive and ripen best, neighboured by fruit of baser quality.
It must be so, for miracles are ceased.
But, my good lord, how now for mitigation of this bill urged against the church? Does his majesty incline to it or no?
He seems indifferent, or rather, swaying more upon our part than cherishing the exhibitors against us. For I have made an offer to his majesty, as touching France, to give a greater sum than ever at one time the clergy yet did to his predecessors part withal.
How did this offer seem received, my lord?
Good acceptance of his majesty, save that there was not time enough to hear the several and unhidden passages of his true titles to certain dukedoms, and generally to the crown and seat of France, derived from Edward, his great-grandfather, through marriage to Philippa of France.
But, my lord, allowance of this female claim upholds the right of Edmund Mortimer, disbarred from England's throne by Bolingbroke.
King Henry will take no account of this, if once I sway the argument for France. But time and circumstance would not allow.
What was the impediment that broke this off?
The French ambassador, upon that instant, craved audience. And the hour, I think, is come to give him hearing. Is it 4 o'clock?
It is.
Then go we in to know his embassy. Where is my gracious Lord of Canterbury?
Not here in press.
Send for him, good uncle.
Shall I call in the ambassador, my liege?
Not yet, my cousin. We would be resolved before we hear him of some things of weight that task our thoughts concerning us and France. God and his angels guard your sacred throne and make you long become it.
Yeah, sure, we thank you. My loving lord, we pray you to proceed and justly and religiously unfold why the law Salic that they have in France, or should not, bar us in our claim. And God forbid, my dear and loving lord, that you should fashion, rest, or bow your reading. For God doth know how many now in hell shall drop their blood in approbation of what your reverend shall incite us to. Therefore, take heed how you impawn our person, how you awake our sleeping sword of war. We charge you in the name of God, take heed, for never two such kingdoms did contend without much fall of blood, whose guiltless drops are every one a woe, a sore complaint against him whose wrongs gives edge unto the swords that make such waste in brief mortality. Under this conjuration, speak, my lord.
And hear me, gracious sovereign, and you peers, that owe yourselves, your lives and services to this imperial throne. There is no bar to make against your highness' claim to France. But this, which they produce from Pharamond, in terram salicam mulieres ne succedent. No woman shall succeed in Salic land. Which Salic land the French unjustly take to be the realm of France, and Pharamond the founder of this law and female bar. Yet their own authors faithfully affirm that the land Salic is in Germany, where Charles the Great, having subdued the Saxons, there left behind and settled certain French, who, holding in disdain the German women for some dishonest manners of their life, established then this law, to wit, no female to be inheritrix in Salic land. Therefore doth it well appear the Salic law was not devised for the realm of France, nor did the French possess the Salic land until 421 years after defunction of King Pharamond, idly supposed the founder of this law. Besides, there I could say King Pepin, which deposed Childeric, did, as heir general, being descended of Blifil, which was daughter to King Clothaire, make claim and title to the crown of France. Hugh Capet, also, who usurped the crown, to find his title with some shows of truth, conveyed himself as heir to the Lady Lingard, daughter to Charlemagne. So that as clear as is the summer's sun, King Pepin's title, Hugh Capet's claim, both appear to hold in right and title of the female. So do the kings of France unto this day. Howbeit they would hold up this Salic law to bar your highness, claiming from the female.
May I, with right and conscience, make this claim?
The sin upon my head rests, sovereign. For in the book of Numbers is it writ, when the man dies, let the inheritance descend unto the daughter. Gracious lords, stand for your own. Unwind your bloody flag. Look back into your mighty ancestors. Go, my dread lord, to your great-grandsire's tomb, from whom you claim, invoke his warlike spirit. And your great-uncles, Edward the Black Prince, oh, noble English, that could entertain with half their forces the full pride of France, and let another half stand laughing by, all out of work and cold for action.
Awake remembrance of these valiant dead, and with your puissant arm renew their feats. You are their heir, you sit upon their throne. The blood and courage of renown and then runs in your veins. And my thrice puissant liege is in the very main morn of his youth, ripe for exploits and mighty enterprises.
Your brother kings and monarchs of the earth do all expect that you should rouse yourself as did the former lions of your blood.
They know your grace hath cause, and the means, and the might. Never king of England had nobles richer, or more loyal subjects, whose hearts have left their bodies here in England, and lie pavilioned in the fields of France.
Oh, let their bodies follow, my dear liege, with blood and sword and fire to win your right. In aid whereof, we of the spirituality
will raise your highness such a mighty sum as never did the clergy at one time bring into any of your ancestors. We must not only arm to invade the French, but lay down our proportions to defend against the Scot. For my great-grandfather went never with his forces into France, but that the Scot on his unfurnished kingdom came pouring like a tide into the breach, that England, being empty of defence, has shook and trembled at the ill neighbourhood. He hath been then more feared than harmed, my liege.
But there's a saying very old and true, that if you will France win, then with Scotland first begin. But once the eagle England being in prey, to an unguarded nest the weasel Scot comes sneaking. And so sucks her princely eggs, playing the mouse in absence of the cat, to tame and havoc more than she can eat.
It follows then the cat must stay at home. Yet this is but a crushed necessity, since we have locks to safeguard necessaries and pretty traps to catch the petty thieves. Once that the armed hand doth fight abroad, the advised head defends itself at home. Therefore doth heaven divide the state of man in divers functions, setting endeavour in continual motion, to which is fixed as an aim or but obedience. Therefore to France, my liege, divide your happy England into 4, whereof take you 1/4 into France, and you withal shall make all Gallia shake. If we, with thrice such powers left at home, cannot defend our own doors from the dog, let us be worried, and our nation lose the name of hardiness and policy. Call in the messengers sent from the Dauphin.
Now are we well resolved, and by God's help, and yours, the noble sinews of our power, France being ours, we'll bend it to our oar or break it all to pieces. Now, are we well prepared to hear the pleasure of our fair cousin Dauphin? For we hear your greeting is from him, not from the king.
May it please your majesty to give us leave freely to render what we have in charge, or shall we sparingly show you far off the Dauphin's meaning in our embassy?
We are no tyrants, but a Christian king, unto whose grace our passions are as subject as is our wretches fettered in our prisons. Therefore, with frank and with uncurbed plainness, tell us the Dauphin's mind.
Thus then, in few, your highness, lately sending into France, did claim some certain dukedoms in the right of your great predecessor, King Edward III. In answer to which claim, the prince, my master, says that you savor too much of your youth, and bids you be advised there's naught in France that may be with a nimble galliard won. You cannot revel into dukedoms there. He therefore sends you, meter for your spirit, this ton of treasure, and in lieu of this, desires you let the dukedoms that you claim hear no more of you. Thus the Dauphin speaks.
What treasure? Uncle.
Tennis balls, my liege.
We're glad the Dauphin is so pleasant with us. His presence and your pains we thank you for. When we have matched our rackets to these balls, we will, in France, by God's grace, play a set shall strike his father's crown into the hazard. Tell him he hath made a match with such a wrangler that all the courts of France shall be disturbed with chases. And we understand him well, how he comes o'er us with our wilder days, not measuring what use we made of them. We never valued this poor seat of England, and therefore living hence did give ourselves to barbarous license, as 'tis ever common that men are merriest when they are from home. But tell the Dauphin, I will keep my state, be like a king, and show my sail of greatness when I do rouse me in my throne of France. For that I have laid by my majesty and plodded like a man for working days.
but I will rise there with so full of glory that I shall dazzle all the eyes of France, yea, strike the Dauphin blind to look on us. And tell the pleasant prince, this jest of his hath turned these balls to gunstones, and his soul shall stand sore charged with a wasteful vengeance that shall fly with them. For many a thousand widows shall this his mock out of their dear husbands, mock mothers from their sons, mock castles down, and some are yet ungotten and unborn that shall have cause to curse the Dauphin's scorn. So, get you hence in peace, and tell the Dauphin his jest will savour but of shallow wit when thousands weep more than did laugh at it. Or Scroop and Grey convey him. Say well.
This was a merry message.
We hope to make the sender blush at it. Therefore, my lords, omit no happy hour that may give furtherance to our expedition. For we have now no thought in us but France, save those to God. For gracious heaven before, we'll chide this Dauphin at his father's door. Therefore, let every man now task his thoughts, that this fair action may on foot be brought. Now the youth of England are on fire, and silken dalliance in the wardrobe lies. Now thrive the armourers, and honest thought reigns solely in the breast of every man. They sell the pasture now to buy the horse, following the mirror of all Christian kings, with winged heels like English Mercuries. For now sits expectation in the air, and hides a sword from hilts and to the point, with crowns and coronets, crowns imperial promised to Harry and his followers.
Well met, Corporal Nim. Oh, yes. Good morrow, Lieutenant Bartle.
What are ancient pistol and you friends yet?
For my part, okay, I say little, but when time shall serve, there shall be smiles. Yeah. But that shall be as it may. I dare not fight, but I will wink and hold out mine iron. It is a simple one, but what though? It will toast cheese, and endure cold, as another man's sword will. And there's an end.
I will bestow a breakfast to make you two friends. We must be all three sworn brothers to France together. Let it be so, Corporal Nim.
Faith, I will live as long as I may. That's the certain of it. And when I cannot live any longer, I will do as I may. That is my rest. That is the rendezvous of it.
Well, it is certain. He's married to Nell quickly, and certainly she did you wrong, for you were truth plain to her.
Oh, I cannot tell. Things must be as they may. Men may sleep, as they may have their throats about them at that time. And some say, knives have edges. It must be as it may. Though patience be a tired mare, yet she will plod. There must be conclusions. Well, I cannot tell.
Here comes ancient Pistol and his wagon. Prithee be patient there, Corporal Nim.
Hell down by the host. Piss stone.
Be strike. Callest thou me host? Now by this hand, I swear I scorn the term, and nor shall my neck keep lodging.
Nay, by my troth, not long, for we cannot board and lodge a dozen or 14 gentlewomen that live honestly by the prick of their needles. For they shall be taught to keep a bawdy house straight. Oh, well a day, lady. If it be not drawn now, we shall see wilful adultery and murder committed.
Good Corporal. Good Lieutenant, offer nothing here.
Pish! Pish for thee! thou Iceland dog, thou pricky-eared cur of Iceland.
Good Corporal Nim, show thy valour and put up your sword.
Will you shog off?
Shut off!
Who would have you soulless solace? A greedious dog. Oh, viper vile, the solace in thy most marvellous face, the solace in thy teeth, and in thy throat, and in thy hateful lungs, and which is worse, within thy nasty mouth. I do retort, the solace in thy bowels, for I can take, and pistols cock it up, and flashing fire will follow.
Oh, you've not barbers on, you cannot conjure me. Oh, I have a humour to conduct you indifferently well. If thou would grow foul with me, pizzo, I would scour you with my rapier. If thou would walk off, I would prick your guts a little in good terms, as I may, and that's the humour of it. Oh.
Oh, oh, braggart vile, and damned furious white, the grave doth gape, and doting death is near, therefore exhale!
Hear me what I say. He that strikes the first stroke, I'll run him up to the hilt as I am a soldier.
An oath of Michaelmite, and fury shall abate. Give me thy fist, thy forefoot to me give. Thy spirits are most tall.
Oh, I will cut thy throat one time or other, in fair terms as I may. That is the humour of it.
Couple of gorge. That is the word. I thee defy again. Oh, how good. Thinkest thou my spouse to get? No, to the spit I'll go. And from the powdering tub of infamy, fetch forth the lathered kite of Cressid's kind. Dulce she by name, and her a spouse. For I have, and I will hold the quondam quickly. For the only she, and power there's enough good so.
My nose! Oh, Crispin! You must come to my master, Sir John Falstaff. And you Eustace. Oh, he's very sick and went to bed. Dear Bardolph, put thy face between his sheets and do the office of a warming pan. Oh, faith, he's very ill.
Away, you rude.
By my troth, he'll yield the crow a pudding one of these days. The king has killed his heart. Good husband, come home presently.
Come. Shall I make you two friends? Oh, we must to France together. Why the devil must we keep knives to cut one another's throats?
Let floods or swell, and fiends for food. How long?
You'll pay me the 8 shillings on one of David Betty.
Oh, bids is the slave that pays.
That now all will have. That's the humour of it.
As man it shall compound. Push on.
By this sword, kill. Here makes a fuss thus. I'll kill him by this sword, I will.
Sword is an oath, and oaths must have their course.
I'll call for him, and I'll be friends, and I'll be enemies. Why then be enemies with me too? I'll pretty put up.
No. I shall have my 8 shillings.
A noble shalt thou have, and present pay, and liquor likewise will I give to thee, and friendship shall combine, and brotherhood. For I shall live by Nim, and Nim shall live by me. Is not this just? For I shall sutler be unto the camp, and profits will accrue. Give me thy hand.
I shall have my own.
In cash, most justly paid.
Yeah. Well then, that's the humour of it.
If ever you come of women, come in quickly to Sir John. Oh, poor heart. He is so shaped of a burning quotidian tertian, it is most lamentable to behold. Sweet man, come to him.
The king hath run bad humours on the night.
Thou hast spoke the right.
His heart is fractured and corroborated. The king is a good king, but it must be as it may. He passes some humours and careers. Let us condole the night. For lambkins, we will live.
French, advised by good intelligence of this most dreadful preparation, shake in their fear, and with pale policy seek to divert the English purposes. O England, model to thy inward greatness, like little body with a mighty heart, what mightst thou do that honor would thee do? For all thy children kind and natural. But see, thy fault France hath in thee found out, a nest of hollow bosoms, which he fills with treacherous crowns, and 3 corrupted men. One, Richard Earl of Cambridge. The second, Henry Lord Scroop of Mazam. And the third, Sir Thomas Grey, Knight of Northumberland, have for the guilt of France, O guilt indeed, confirmed conspiracy with fearful France, and by their hands this grace of kings must die, if hell and treason hold their promises, ere he take ship of France and in Southampton. Linger your patience on, and we'll digest the abuse of distance. Force a play. The sum is paid, the traitors are agreed. The king is set from London, and the scene is now transported, gentles, to Southampton. There is the playhouse now. There must you sit. And thence to France shall we convey you safe and bring you back, charming the narrow seas, and give you gentle pass. For if we may, we'll not offend one stomach with our play. But till the king come forth, and not till then, unto Southampton do we shift our sea.
Fair, and we will abort. My lord of Cambridge, and my kind lord of Mazam, and you, my gentle knight, give me your thoughts. Think you not that the powers we bear with us will cut a passage through the force of France, doing the execution and the act for which we have in there assembled them?
No doubt, my liege, if each man do his best.
Oh, we doubt not that, since we're well persuaded we carry not a heart with us from hence that grows not in a fair consent with ours.
Never was monarch better feared and loved than is your majesty.
God, his grace is bold to trust these traitors.
They shall be apprehended by and by.
Uncle of Exeter, enlarge that man committed yesterday that railed upon our person. We consider it was excess of wine that set him on, and on his more advice we pardon him.
That mercy, but too much security. Let him be punished, sovereign. Let example breed by his sufferance more of such a kind.
Well, let us yet be merciful.
May your highness yet punish too.
You show great mercy if you give him life after the taste of much correction.
Perhaps. Your too much love and care of me a heavy orison against this poor wretch. If little faults proceeding on distemper shall not be winked at, how shall we turn our eye when capital crimes, chewed, swallowed, and digested, appear before us? We'll yet enlarge that man, though Cambridge, Scroop, and Grey, in their dear care and tender preservation of our person, would have him punished. Now to our French causes. Who are the late commissioners?
I won, my lord. Your highness bade me ask for it today.
So did you mean, my liege?
And I, my royal sovereign.
Then Richard, Earl of Cambridge, there is yours. They're yours, Lord Scroop of Mazam, and Sir Knight Grey of Northumberland. This same is yours. Read them, and know I know your worthiness. And my Lord of Westmoreland and Uncle Exeter, let us aboard. Why? Now, gentlemen. What read you in those papers that you lose so much complexion? Look-ye, how they change. Their cheeks are paper. Why, what read you there that are so cowarded and chaste your blood out of appearance?
I do confess my fault. Do submit me to your highness' mercy.
The mercy that was quick in us but late. By your own counsellors suppressed and killed. You must not dare for shame to talk of mercy. Your own reasons turn into your bosoms as dogs upon their masters worrying you. See you, my princes and my noble peers, these English monsters. My Lord of Cambridge here hath for a few light crimes lightly conspired and sworn unto the practices of France to kill us here in Hampton. For the which this knight, no less for bounty bound to us than Cambridge's, hath likewise sworn. For oh, what shall I say to thee, Lord Screw? Thou cruel, ingrateful, savage, and inhuman creature! Thou that didst bear the key of all my counsels, that knewest the very bottom of my soul, may it be possible that foreign hire could out of thee extract one spark of evil that might annoy my finger? How hast thou with jealousy infected the sweetness of affiance? Show men dutiful, why, so didst thou. Seem they grave and learned, why, so didst thou. Or are they spare of diet, free from gross passion or of mirth or anger, such and so finely voted didst thou seem. Thus thy fall hath left a kind of blot to mark the full-fraught man and best endued with some suspicion. Their faults are open. Arrest them to the answer of the law, and God acquit them of their practices.
I do arrest thee of high treason by the name of Richard, Earl of Cambridge. I do arrest thee of high treason by the name of Henry, Lord Scroop of Matton. I do arrest thee of high treason by the name of Thomas Grey, Knight of Northumberland.
God quit you in his mercy. Hear your sentence. You have conspired against our royal person, joined with an enemy proclaimed, and from his coffers received the golden earnest of our death, wherein you would have sold your king to slaughter, his princes and his peers to servitude, his subjects to oppression and contempt, and his whole kingdom into desolation. Touching our person seek we no revenge, but we our kingdom's safety must so tender, whose ruin you have sought, that to her laws we do deliver you. Get you therefore hence, poor miserable wretches, to your death. A taste whereof God of his mercy give you patience to endure, and true repentance of all your dear offenses. Bear them hence. Our lords, for France, the enterprise whereof shall be to you as us like glorious. We doubt not of a fair and lucky war. Cheerly to see the signs of war advance. No king of England, if not king of France.
Prithee, honey, sweet husband, let me bring thee to Stein.
No, for my manly heart to burn. Fathers, be blind. Men, rouse thy burning veins. Boy, bristle thy courage up. For Falstaff, he is dead. And we must earn, therefore.
Would I were with him where Sir Mary is, were it in heaven or in hell.
Nay, sure. He's not in hell. He's in Arthur's bosom. If ever man went to Arthur's bosom, he made a finer end, and went away, and it had been any Christian child. He parted, even between 12 and 1, even at the turning of the tide. For after I saw him fumble with the sheets, and play with flowers, and smile upon his fingers' end, I knew that there was but one way. for his nose was as sharp as a pen, and he babbled of green fields. "How now, Sir John," quoth I, "what man, be of good cheer." And then he shouted, "God! God! God!" 3 or 4 times. Now I, to comfort him, bid him he should not think of God. Well, I hope there was no need for him to trouble himself with any such thoughts yet. And then he bid me put more clothes upon his feet. I put my hand into the bed and I felt them, and they was as cold as any stone. And then I felt to his knees, and so upwards, and upwards, and all was as cold as any stone.
I say, he cried out, "Again sack."
Aye, that he did.
And women.
Nay, that he did not.
Oh, yes, that it did. He said they were devils incarnate.
He could never abide carnation. It was a colour he never liked.
He said once the devil would have him about women.
Well, he did indeed in some sort handle women. But then he was rheumatic, and he talked of the whore of Babylon.
Do you not remember? I saw a flea stick upon Bardolph's nose, and the said was a black soul burning in hell.
Well, the fuel's gone that maintained that fire. This all the riches I got in his service.
Sorry, son. The king will be gone from Southampton.
Come, let's away. My love, give me thy lips. Look to my chattels and my movables. Let censors rule. The word is pitch and pay. Trust none. For all the straws, men's faiths are wafer cakes, and hold fast is the only dog my duck. Therefore, Cavito be thy counsellor. Go, clear thy crystals. York, fellows in arms, let us to France, my boys, like horse leeches, to suck, the very blood to suck.
And that's but unwholesome food, they say.
Put your soft mouth and march.
Farewell, hostess.
I cannot kiss. That is the humour of it. But adieu.
Let house with reappear. Keep close. I thee command.
Farewell. Adieu.
Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go.
with full power upon us, and more than carefully at us concerned to answer royally in our defences. Therefore, Prince Dauphin, with all swift dispatch, to line and do repair our towns of war, with men of courage and with means defended. For England his approaches makes as fierce as waters to the sucking of a gulf. It fits us then to be as provident as fear may teach us. Out of late examples left by the fatal and neglected English upon our fields.
My most redoubted father, it is most meet we arm us against the foe. For peace itself should not so dull a kingdom. The war or no known quarrel were in question. But the defences, musters, preparations should be maintained, assembled, and collected as were a war in expectation. Therefore, I say, 'tis meet we all go forth to view the sick and feeble parts of France. And let us do it with no show of fear. No, with no more than if we heard that England were busied with a Whitsun Morris dance. Oh, my good liege, she is so idly king. Her sceptre so fantastically borne by a vain, giddy, shallow, humorous youth. But fear attends her not.
Peace, Prince Dauphin. You are too much mistaken in this king. Question, your grace, the late ambassadors, with what great state he heard their embassy. How well supplied with noble counsellors, how modest in exceptions, and withal how terrible in execution. And you shall find his vanities forspent were but the outside of the Roman Brutus, covering discretion with a coat of folly, as gardeners do with ordure hide those roots that shall first spring and be most delicate.
Well, 'tis not so, my lord high constable. But though we think it so, it is no matter. In cases of defence, 'tis best to weigh the enemy more mighty than he seems.
Think we King Harry strong, and princes, look you strongly armed to meet him. The kindred of him hath been fleshed upon us, and he is bred out of that bloody strain that haunted us in our familiar paths. Witness our too much memorable shame, when Crecy battle fatally was struck, and all our princes captives by the hand of that black name, Edward, Black Prince of Wales, was that his mountain sire on mountain standing, up in the air, crowned with a golden sun, saw his heroical seed, and smiled to see him mangle the work of nature, and deface the patterns that by God and by French fathers had 20 years been made. This is a stem of that victorious stock, and let us fear the native mightiness and fate of him.
Ambassadors from Harry, King of England, who crave admittance to your majesty.
We'll give them present audience. Go and bring them. You see, this chase is hotly followed, friend.
Turn head and stop pursuit. For coward dogs most spend their mouths when what they seem to threaten runs far before them. Good my sovereign, take up the English short, and let them know of what a monarchy you are the head. Self-love, my liege, is not so vile as sin as self-neglecting.
From our brother of England?
From him. And thus he greets your majesty. He wills you, in the name of God Almighty, that you divest yourself and lay apart the borrowed glories that by gift of heaven, by law of nature and of nations, longs to him and to his heir, namely the crown. And all wide stretches honours that pertain by custom and the ordinance of times unto the crown of France. That you may know 'tis no sinister, nor no awkward claim, picked from the wormholes of long-vanished days, nor from the dust of old oblivion raked, he sends you this most memorable line, in every branch truly demonstrative, willing you o'erlook this pedigree, and when you find him evenly derived from his most famed of famous ancestors, Edward III, he bids you then resign your crown and kingdom, indirectly held from him, the native and true challenger.
Or else what follows?
Bloody constraint. Or if you hide the crown, even in your heart, there will he rake for it. Therefore in fierce tempest is he coming, in thunder and in earthquake, like a Jove, that if requiring faith, he will compel. And bid you in the bowels of the Lord deliver up the crown, and take mercy on those poor souls for whom this hungry war opens its vasty jaws. And on your head turning, the widow's tears, the orphan's cries, the dead men's blood, the private maiden's groans, for husbands, fathers, and betrothed lovers that shall be swallowed in this country. This is his claim, his threatening, and my message. Unless the dolphin be in present here, for whom expressly I bring greeting too.
For us, we will consider of this further. Tomorrow shall you bear our full intent back to our brother of England.
For the Dauphin, I stand here for him. What to him from England?
Scorn and defiance, slight regard, contempt, and anything that may not misbecome the mighty sender doth he prize you at. Thus says the king my master, and if your father's highness do not, by grant of all demand at large, sweeten the bitter mock you sent his majesty, he'll call you to so hot an answer for it, that caves and woomy voltages of France shall chide your trespass, and return your mock in second accent of his ordinance.
Say, if my father render fair return, it is against my will, for I desire nothing but odds with England. To that end, as matching to his youth and vanity, I did present him with the Paris balls.
He'll make your Paris Louvre shake for it. And be assured, you'll find a difference from the judgment of his greener days than those he masters now. Now he wastes time, even to the utmost grave, as you shall read in your own losses if he stay in France.
Tomorrow shall you know our mind at full.
Dispatch us with all speed, lest that our king come here himself to question our delay. For he is footed in this land already.
You shall be soon dispatched with fair conditions. A night is but small breath and little pause to answer matters of this consequence.
Imagined wing our swift scene flies in motion of no less celerity than that of thought. Suppose that you have seen the well-appointed king at Hampton Pier embark his royalty and his brave fleet with silken streamers, the young Phoebus fanning. Play with your fancies, and in them behold upon the hempen tackle ship boys climbing. Hear the shrill whistle which doth order give, the sounds confused. Behold the threatened sails borne, and the invisible and creeping wind draw the huge bottoms through the furrowed sea, breasting the lofty surge. Oh, do but think you stand upon the rivage, and behold a city, and their constant billows dancing, for so appears this fleet majestical, holding due course to Harfleur. Follow, follow. Grapple your minds to sternage of this navy, and leave your England as dead midnight still, guarded by grandsires, babies, old women, either past or not arrived at pith and puissance. For who is he whose chin is but enriched with one appearing hair that will not follow these culled and choice-drawn cavaliers to France? Work, Work your thoughts, and therein see a siege. Behold the ordnance on their carriages, with fatal mouths gaping on girded Harfleur. Suppose the ambassador from the French comes back, tells Harry that the king doth offer him Catherine his daughter, and with it a dowry some petty and unprofitable dukedoms. The offer likes not, and the nimble gunner now, with the linstock the devilish cannon touches, and all goes down before them. Still be kind, and eke out our performance with your mind.
Unto the breach, dear friends! Once more or close the wall up with our English dead. In peace, there's nothing so becomes a man as modest stillness and humility, as when our blast of war blows in our ears, then imitate the action of the tiger, stiffen the sinews, summon up the blood, disguise fair nature with hard-papered rage, and lend the eye a terrible aspect. Let it fly through the puzzles of the head, like the brass cannon, let the brow overwhelm it, as fearfully as does the galling rock, or hang and shut his confounded feet, swill with a wild and wasteful ocean. Now, set the teeth, and stretch the nostrils wide, hold hard the breath, and bend up every spirit to its full height. On, you noblest English, whose blood is fed from fathers of all proof, fathers who, like so many Alexanders, have in these fields a more even fought, and sheathe their swords for lack of argument. Dishonor not your mothers. Now attest that those of you called fathers did forget you. Yes. Be copy now to men of grosser blood, and teach them how to war. Yes. And you, good human, whose limbs were made in England, show us here the metal of your pasture. Let us swear that you are worth your breeding, which I doubt not. For there is none of you so mean and base that has got noble luster in your eyes. I see you stand like greyhounds in the slips, straining upon the stars. The gains are put, follow your spirit, and upon this charge cry, God for Harry! Yes! England! Yes! And St. John! Yes!
On! To the breach! To the breach! Brave it, Corporal, stay! The knocks are too hot, and from what own pot, I have not a case of life. No, that's the humour of it, I can tell you. The humour is most just, but honours do abound. Knocks go and come, God's vessels drop and die, and sword and shield in bloody fields doth win immortal fame.
Would I win an alehouse in London, I would give all my fame for a pot of ale and safety.
I know. If wishes would prevail with me, my fortune would not fail with me, but thither would I hie.
As duly, but not as truly, as virtue.
Oi! Up to the breach, you dogs! Avon, you Fluelen!
Be merciful, great Duke, to men of Mull. Abate thy rage. Abate thy manly rage. Use lenity, sweet Duke. These be good humours, you know the wind's bad humours.
As young as I am, I've observed these three swashers. I am boy to them all three. Though all they three, though they would serve me, could not be man to me. For indeed, three such antics do not amount to a man. For Bardolph, he's white-livered and red-faced. By the means whereof he faces it out, but fights not. For Pistol, he hath a killing tongue and a quiet sword. By the means whereof he breaks words and keeps our weapons. For Nym, he hath heard that men of few words are the best men. and therefore he scorns to say his prayers lest he be thought a coward. But his few bad words are matched with his few good deeds, for he never broke any man's head except his own, and that was against a post when he was drunk. Ah, they'll steal anything and call it purchase. Bardolph stole a loot case, bore it 12 leagues, and sold it for 3 halfpence. Nim and Bardolph are sworn brothers in filching, and in Calais they stole a fire shovel. They would have me as familiar with men's pockets as their gloves or their handkerchiefs, which goes much against my manhood. Well, if I should take from another man's pocket and put into mine, for 'tis plain pocketing up her wrongs. I must leave them, seek some better service. Their villainy goes against my weak stomach, and therefore I must cast it up.
Oi! Get over! Captain, go on!
You must come presently to the mines. The Duke of Gloucester would speak with you.
To the mines? Tell you, the Duke, it is not so good to come to the mines. The mines is not according to the disciplines of the war. For, look you, the adversary, you may discuss unto the Duke, has digged himself 4 yards under the countermine. By Jesus, I think he will blow up all if there is not better direction.
The Duke of Gloucester, to whom the order of the siege is given, is altogether directed by an Irishman, a very valiant gentleman indeed.
It is Captain McMorris, is it not?
I think it be.
By Jesus, he is an ass as in the world. He has no more directions in the true disciplines of the war, the Roman disciplines, and is a puppy dog.
Here he comes, and the Scots captain, Captain Jamie, with him.
Hey, Captain Jamie, the marvellous, valorous gentleman that is certain, and of great expedition and knowledge in the ancient wars, upon my particular knowledge of his direction.
Say good day, Captain Fluelen.
Good evening, your worship. Good Captain James.
How now, Captain McMorris? Have you quit the mines? Have the pioneers given up?
By Christ, is ill done. Shall the workers give over and the trumpet sounds retreat? By my hand I swear, and by my father's soul, is ill done right enough. God help me, I would have blown up the town in half an hour. Ah, 'tis ill done right enough, by my hand, 'tis ill done.
Captain McMorris, I beseech you now. Will you vouchsafe me, look here with you, disputations with you, as partly touching or concerning the disciplines of the war, the Roman wars, by way of argument and friendly communication, partly to satisfy my opinion, and partly look you for the satisfaction of my mind, as touching the direction of the military discipline. That is the point.
It shall be very good. Good thing. Good captain. And I'll quit you with good leave as on a big occasion. Marry that shall I.
Is it discourse you want? Discourse, did you say? Sure, the day is hot on the wars and the weathers and the kings and the dukes. There's no time for discourse. The town is besieged and the trumpet calls us to the breach. Now are we to sit here and jaw and do nothing at all? By God, 'tis a shame to us all, so it is. 'Tis a shame to us all to sit here and do nothing when there's work to be done and throats to be cut. By God, 'tis a shame to us all. God save me laugh.
By the mass! Ere these I've a mind taken of the slumber, I'll do good service, or I lie in the ground for it. Or go to death, and I'll pay it as valorous as I may, and that shall I surely do. And that is the brief and the long. Marry, I both ain't hear some questions between the two.
Captain McMorris, I think, under your correction, there is not many of your nation.
You what? Oh, it's come to that, has it?
Aye.
Oh, it's my nation, is it? And what is my nation? Is the knave, a bastard, a villain, or a rascal? What is my nation? Which of you speaks of my nation?
Look, you. If you take the matter otherwise than is meant, Captain McMorris, peradventure I shall think you do not use me with that affability as indiscretion. You ought to use me, look you now, being as good a man as yourself, both in the disciplines of war and in the derivation of my birth, and in other particularities and all.
Oh, so you're as good a man as I am, are you?
Aye. Well, now, come over to me and I'll pull your head off.
Darling, come on. Gentlemen, both, you mistake each other.
Hey, that's a foul fault. I get hold of you.
The town sounds a parley.
Come you now, Maurice. When there is more better opportunity to be required, look you, I will be so bold as to tell you, I know the disciplines of the war, and there is an end.
Oh, yes, resolved the governor of the town. This is the latest power, we will admit. Therefore, to our best mercy, give yourselves, or like to men proud of destruction, defy us to our worst. As I'm a soldier, a name that in my thoughts becomes me best. If I begin the battery once again, I will not leave the half-achieved Harfleur till in our ashes she lie buried. The gates of mercy shall be all shut up, and the flesh soldier, rough and hard of heart, in liberty of bloody hand, shall range with conscience wide as hell, mowing like grass your fresh fair virgins and your flowering infants. What is it then to me if impious war, arrayed in flames, like to the prince of fiends, do with his smirched complexion all fell feats and linked to waste and desolation? What is to me when you yourselves are cause that your pure maidens fall into the hands of hot and forcing violation? What reign can hold licentious wickedness when down the hill he holds his fierce career? We may as bootless spend our vain command upon the enraged soldiers in their spoil as send precepts to the Leviathan to come ashore. Therefore, you men of Harfleur, take pity of your town and of your people, whilst yet my soldiers are at my command. As yet the cool and temperate wind of grace or blows the filthy and contagious clouds of heady murder, spoil, and villainy. If not, why in a moment look to see the blind and bloody soldier with foul hand defile the locks of your shrill shrieking daughters. Your fathers taken by the silver beards and the most reverend heads dashed to the walls. Your naked infants spitted upon pikes. Whilst the mad mothers with their howls confused do break the clouds, as did the wives of jury at Herod, bloody hunting slaughterman. How say you? Will you yield in this void, or guilty in defense, be thus destroyed?
Our expectation have this day an end. The Dauphin whom of succors we entreated returns us that his powers are not yet ready to raise so great a siege. Therefore, great King, we yield our town and lives to thy soft mercy. Enter our gates, dispose of us and ours, for we no longer are defensible.
Open your gates. Uncle Exeter, go you and enter Harfleur. There remain and fortified strongly against the French. Use mercy to them all. For us, dear uncle, the winter coming on and sickness growing upon our soldiers, we will retire to Calais. Tonight in Harfleur will we be your guest. Tomorrow for the march are we addressed.
Je dis pour la dernière fois, il faut que tu apprennes ce langage barbare.
Alice? Toi
as été en Angleterre et tu parles bien le langage?
Un peu, madame.
Tu te prie m'enseigner. Il faut que j'apprenne à parler. Comment appelez-vous la main en anglais?
La main, elle est appelée de hand.
Hand.
H-A-N-D.
H-A-N-D. Et les doigts?
Les doigts, ma foi, j'oublie les doigts. Mais je me souviendrai, les doigts, je pense qu'ils sont appelés de fingers.
Fingers.
Oui, de fingers. F-I-N-G-R-E-S.
G-R-E-S. La main de hand, les doigts de fingers. Je pense que je suis le bon écolier. J'ai gagné 2 mots d'anglais, justement. Comment appelez-vous les ongles?
Les ongles, nous les appelons de nails.
Nails. Écoutez. Dites-moi si je parle bien. The hand, the fingers, the nails.
C'est bien dit, madame, il est fort en anglais.
Dis-moi l'onglet pour le bras.
The arm, madame.
Et le coude? Le coude. Elbow. Elbow. Je m'en fais la répétition de tous les mots que vous m'avez appris dans à présent.
Trop difficile, madame, comme je peux.
Excusez-moi. Écoutez. The hand, hand, knife, the arm, the elbow.
Elbow, madame.
Seigneur Dieu, je m'en oublie. Elbow. Comment appelez-vous le corps?
The nick, madame.
The nick. Et le menton?
The chin.
Chin. Le corps de nick, le menton de chin.
Oui, sauf votre honneur. En vérité, vous prononcez les mots aussi droit que les natifs d'Angleterre.
Tout point d'apprendre par la grâce, il y a un peu de temps.
N'avez-vous pas déjà oublié ce que je vous ai enseigné?
Non? Je réciterai à votre contenant. The hand, the fingers, the mile,
The nails, madame.
nine, the arm, the elbow,
D'elbow.
ah, c'est elbow, the neck, the chin. Comment appelez-vous le pied et la robe?
Le foot, madame. Et le cou.
Et non pour les dames d'honneur, disait-il. Il faudrait prononcer ces mots devant les seigneurs de France pour tout le monde. Néanmoins, je réciterai notre 3 leçons ensemble. The hand, the finger, the nail, the arm, the elbow, the neck, the chin, foot, the con.
Excellent, madame.
C'est assez pour toi. Allons-nous à dîner.
"'Tis certain he has passed the river Somme."
And if he be not fought withal, my lord, let us not live in France. Let us quit all, and give our vineyards to a barbarous people. Oh, dear Vivant! Shall a few sprays of us, the emptying of our fathers' luxury, our scions put in wild and savage stock, spurt up so suddenly into the clouds, and overlook their grasses?
Normans! But bastard Normans!
Norman bastards! Mortimer, if they march along unfought withal, but I will sell my dukedom to buy a slobbery and a dirty farm in that nook-shot Isle of Albion.
Oh, Dieu de ma taille, where have they this metal?
climate foggy, raw, and dull? On whom, as in this fight, the sun looks pale, killing their fruit with frowns? Can sodden water decoct their cold blood to such valiant heat? And shall our quick blood, spirited with wine, seem frosty? Oh, for honor of our land! Let us not hang like roping icicles upon our houses' thatch, where the more frosty people sweat drops of gallant youth in our rich fields.
By faith and honor, our madams mock at us, and plainly say our metal is bred out. And they will give their bodies to the lust of English youth, to new store France with parchment warriors.
They bid us to the English dancing schools, and teach Levolta's high and swift Tarantos, saying that our grace is only at our heels, and that we are most lofty runaways.
Ever, Montjoy, I charge you, speed you hence. Do you greet England with our sharp defiance? Up, princes, and with spirit of honor edged more sharper than your sword. High to the field. Charles de Brett, High Constable of France. You men of Orleans, Bourbon, and of Berry. High dukes, great princes, barons, lords, and knights. For your great seat, now quit you of great shames. Sir, harry England, that sweeps through our land, with pennants plated in the blood of Harfleur. Rush on his host as doth the melted snow upon the valleys. You have far enough, and in a captive chariot into Rouen, bring him our prisoner.
This becomes the great.
La France.
La France. Sorry am I his numbers are so few. His soldiers sick and famished in their march. But I am sure when he shall see our army, he'll drop his heart into the sink of fear. And for achievement, offer us his ransom.
Therefore, Montjoy, delay not, make you forth. Deliver unto England that we send to know what willing ransom he will give. Prince Dauphin. You shall stay with us in Rouen.
Not so, I do beseech your majesty.
Be patient, for you shall remain with us. Now forth, Lord Constable and princes all, and quickly bring us word of England's fall.
Very excellent service is committed at the bridge.
Is the Duke of Exeter safe?
The Duke of Exeter is as magnanimous as Agamemnon, and a man that I love and honor, with my soul and my heart and my duty and my life and my living and my uttermost power. He is not, God be praised and blessed, any hurt in the world, but keeps that bridge most valiantly and with excellent discipline.
Yes!
There is an ancient lieutenant there at the bridge. I think in my very conscience he is as valiant a man as Mark Antony, and he is a man of no estimation in the world. But I did see him do a gallant service.
What do you call it?
He is called Ancient Pistol.
I know him not.
Here is the man!
Captain, I thee beseech to do me fearless. The Duke of Exeter doth love thee well.
I praise God. And I have merited some love at his hands.
Bardolph, a soldier firm, and sound of heart, and of buxom valor, hath by cruel fate, and giddy fortune's furious fickle wheel, that goddess blind, that stands upon the rolling restless stone.
By your patience, Ancient Pistol, Fortune is painted blind with a muffler for her eyes, to signify to you that Fortune is blind, and her foot is fixed upon a spherical stone. That rolls and rolls and rolls in good truth. The poet makes the most excellent description of it. Fortune is an excellent moral.
Fortune is Barnard's foe and frowns on it. He has stolen a pact, and hanged must have been. A damned death. Let gallows gape for dog. Let man go free, and let not hemp his windpipe suffocate. But Exeter hath given the doom of death for pacts of little price. Therefore go speak, Captain. The Duke will hear thy voice, and let not Bardo vital thread be cut with edge of penny cord and vile reproach. Speak, Captain, for his life, and I will thee requite.
Monsieur Pistol, I do partly understand your meaning.
Why then rejoice, therefore?
Certainly, Monsieur, it is not a thing to rejoice at. For if, look you, he were my brother, I should desire the Duke to use his good pleasure and put him to execution. Discipline ought to be used.
Die and be damned. A figo for thy friendship.
Good.
I say the fig of Spain.
Very good.
I say the fig within thy bowels, and 30 more for thee.
It is well!
Why, this is an arrant, counterfeit rascal. I remember him now. A board, a cutpurse.
I assure you, he uttered as brave words at the bridges you shall see in the summer's day. But it is well what he has said to me now. Oh, that is well, I warrant you, when time is served.
Why, 'tis a gull, a fool, a rogue that now and then goes to the wars. And such fellows are perfect in the great commander's name, and they will learn you by rote where services were done, who came off bravely, who was shot, who disgraced, what terms the enemy stood on. And this they con perfectly in the phrase of war, which they trick up with new-tuned oaths. What a beard of the general's cut will do among foaming bottles and ale-washed wits is wonderful to be thought on. But you must learn to know such slanders of the age, or else you may be marvelously mistook.
I tell you what, Captain Howard, I do perceive that he is not the man he would gladly make sure to the world he is. If I find a hole in his coat, I will show him my mind.
Hark you! King is coming.
Well, I must speak with him from the bridge. God bless your Majesty!
The king fell from the bridge.
I shall please your Majesty. The Duke of Exeter has very gallantly maintained the bridge. The French is gone off, look you. And oh, there is gallant and most brave passages. Marie, the adversary was in possession of the bridge, but he is enforced to retire, and now the Duke is master of the bridge. I can tell you, Majesty, that Duke is a brave man.
Now, what men have you lost, Fluelen?
The perdition of the adversary has been very great, reasonable great. Marie, for my part, I think the Duke had lost never a man. Save one that is like to be executed for robbing a church. One, Bardo. If your Majesty know the man, well, his face is all bubbles and knobs and whelks and flames of fire, and his lips blows at his nose, and that is like a coal of fire, sometimes blue, sometimes red, but his nose is like to be executed, and his fire put out.
My lord!
Now then.
We would have all such offenders so cut off. And we give express charge that in our marches through the country there be nothing compelled from the villages, nothing taken but paid for, none of the French abused or upbraided in disdainful language. For where lenity and cruelty play for a kingdom, the gentler gamester is the soonest winner.
My lord.
You know me by my habits.
Well, then, I know thee. What shall I know of thee?
My master's mind. Unfold. Thus says my king. Say thou to Harry of England, though we seemed dead, we did but sleep. Advantage is a better soldier than rashness. Tell him we could have rebuked him at Harfleur, but that we thought not good to bruise an injury till it were full ripe. Now we speak upon our cue, and our voice is imperial. England shall repent his folly, see his weakness, and admire our sufferance. Bid him, therefore, consider of his ransom, which must proportion the losses we have borne, the subjects we have lost, the disgrace we have digested. For our losses, his exchequer is too poor. For the effusion of our blood, the muster of his kingdom, too faint a number, and for our disgrace his own person kneeling at our feet, a weak and worthless satisfaction. To this add defiance, and tell him in conclusion, he hath betrayed his followers, whose condemnation is pronounced. So far, my king and master. So much my own.
What is thy name? I know thy quality.
Montjoy.
Thou dost thy office fairly. Turn me back, and tell thy king I do not seek him now, but could be willing to march on to Calais without impeachment. For, to say the sooth, though it is no wisdom to confess so much unto an enemy of craft and vantage, my people are with sickness much enfeebled, my numbers lessened, and those few I have almost no better than so many French. But when they were in health, I tell thee, Herald, I thought upon one pair of English legs did march 3 Frenchmen, yet, forgive me, God, that I do brag thus, this your heir of France hath blown that vice in me, I must repent. So therefore, tell thy master, here I am. My ransom is this frail and worthless trunk. My army but a weak and sickly guard. Yet God before, tell him we will come on, though France herself and such another neighbor stand in our way. Theirs for thy labor, Montjoy. Go, bid thy master well advise himself. If we may pass, we will. If we be hindered, we shall your tawny ground with your red blood discolor. So, Montjoy, fare well. The sum of all our answer is but this. We would not seek a battle as we are. Or as we are, I say, we will not shun it. So tell your master.
I shall deliver, sir. Thanks, Your Highness.
I hope they will not come upon us now.
We are in God's hand, brother. Not in theirs. Master of the bridge, it now draws towards night. Beyond the river we'll encamp ourselves, and on the morrow bid them march away.
Now entertain conjecture of a time when creeping murmur in the pouring dark fills the wide vessel of the universe. From camp to camp to the foul womb of night, the hum of either army stilly sounds. For the fixed sentinels almost receive the secret whispers of each other's watch. Fire answers fire, and through their poorly flames, each battle sees the other's umbered face. Steed threatens steed in high and boastful neighs, piercing the night's dull ear, while from the tents the armorers, accomplishing the nights with busy hammers, closing rivets up, give dreadful note of preparation. The country cocks do crow, the clocks do toll. In the 3rd hour of drowsy morning name, proud of their numbers, secure in soul, the confident and overlusty French do the low-rated English play at dice, and chide the crippled, tardy-gated knight, who, like a foul and ugly witch, doth limp so tediously away.
Zut! I have the best armor of the world. Woody Boudet,
You have an excellent armor, but let my horse have his due.
it is the best horse of Europe.
Will it never be morning?
My Lord of Orleans, and my Lord High Constable, you talk of horse and armor?
You are as well provided of both as any prince in the world.
What a long night is this. I will not change my horse with any that treads but on 4 pasterns. Sir! He bounds from the earth as if his entrails were hair. The cheval blanc, the Pegasus, Chili, narine de feu. When I bestride him, I soar. I am a hawk. He trots the air. The earth sings when he touches it. The basest horn of his hoof is more musical than the pipe of Hermes.
Is of the color of the nutmeg.
And of the heat of the ginger. It is a beast for Perseus. He's pure air and fire. And the dull elements of earth and water never appear in him. But only in patient stillness, while his rider mounts him. He is indeed a horse, and all other jades you may call beasts.
No more, cousin.
Nay, the man hath no wit that cannot, from the rising of the lark to the lodging of the lamb, very deserve praise on my palfrey. I once writ a sonnet in his praise that began thus. Wonder of nature.
I've heard a sonnet begin so. To one's mistress.
Then did they imitate that which I composed to my courser. For my horse is my mistress.
Your mistress fares well.
Me well, which is the prescript praise and perfection of a good and particular mistress.
I had at least had my mistress a jade.
I tell thee, Constable, my mistress wears his own hair.
I could make as true a boast as that if I had a sow to my mistress.
Le chien est retourné à son propre vomissement, et la truie l'avait au bourbier. Thou makest use of anything.
Yet do I not use my horse as my mistress?
My Lord Constable, the armor that I saw in your tent tonight, are those stars or suns upon it?
Stars, my lord.
Would I were able to load him with his desert. Will it never be day? I shall trot tomorrow a mile, and my way shall be paved with English faces.
I would not say so, for fear I should be faced out of my way. Yet I would it were morning, but I would fain be above the ears of the English.
Who'll go to Hazard with me for 20 prisoners?
You must first go yourself to Hazard ere you have them.
'Tis midnight. I'll go arm myself.
The Dauphin longs for morning.
He longs to eat the English.
I think he will eat all he kills.
He is simply the most active gentleman of France.
Doing his activity. He will still be doing.
He never did harm that I heard of.
Nor will do none tomorrow. He will keep that good name still.
I know him to be valiant.
I was told that. By one that knows him better than you.
What's he?
Marry, he told me so himself. And he said he cared not who knew him.
My Lord High Constable, the English lie within 1,500 paces of your tent.
Who hath measured the ground?
The Lord Grand Prix?
A valiant and most expert gentleman. Good morning. Poor Harry of England. He longs not for the dawning as we do.
What a wretched and peevish fellow is this King of England.
If the English had any apprehension, they would run away.
Well, that they lack. For if their heads had any intellectual armor, they could not wear such heavy headpieces.
That island of England breeds many valiant creatures. Their mastiffs are of unmatchable courage.
Foolish curs, but run winking into the mouth of a Russian bear, and have their heads crushed like rotten apples. You may as well say it's a valiant flea that dare eat his breakfast on the lip of a lion.
Just. And the men do sympathize with the mastiffs in their robustious and rough coming on, leaving their wits with their wives. Now 'tis time to arm. Come, shall we about it?
Now 2 o'clock. Let me see. By 10, we shall have each 100 Englishmen. Poor condemned English, like sacrifices by their watchful fires, sit patiently and inly ruminate the morning's danger, their gestures sad, investing lank, lean cheeks and war-worn coats, presenteth them into the gazing moon so many horrid ghosts. Or who will now behold this royal captain of this ruined band, walking from watch to watch, from tent to tent? Let him cry praise and glory on his head, for forth he goes and visits all his hosts, bids them good morrow with a cheerful smile, calls them brothers, friends, countrymen. Upon his royal face there is no note how dread an army hath been rounded, nor doth he dedicate one jot of colour to the weary and all watch at night, but freshly looks and overbears a taint, with cheerful semblance and sweet majesty, that every wretch, pining and pale before, beholding him, plucks comfort from his looks. The largesse universal like the sun, his liberal eye doth give to everyone, thawing cold fear, that mean and gentle all behold, as may unworthiness define, little touch of Harry in the night.
Gloucester, 'tis true that we are in great danger. The greater, therefore, should our courage be.
Oh, good morrow, Brother John.
Brother.
My God Almighty, there is some soul of goodness in things evil, could men observingly distill it out. For our bad neighbour makes us early stirrers, which is both healthful and good husbandry. Besides, they are our outward consciences and preachers to us all, admonishing that we should dress us fairly for him. Oh, good morrow, old Sir Thomas Erpingham, a good soft pillow for that good white head were better than a churlish turf of France.
Not so, my liege. This lodging likes me better, since I may say now lie I like a king.
But lend me thy cloak, Sir Thomas. Brothers both, commend me to the princes in my camp. Do my good morrows to them, and anon desire them all to my pavilion.
We shall, my liege. And I attend your grace.
No, my good knight. Go with my brothers to my lords of England. I and my bosom would debate a while, and then I would no other company.
The Lord in heaven bless thee, noble Harry.
God of mercy, old heart. Thou speakst cheerfully.
Oh! Qui va là? Discuss unto me. Art thou an officer, or art thou base, common, and popular?
I am a gentleman of a company.
Trailest thou the puissant pike?
Even so. What are you?
Well, as good a gentleman as the Emperor.
Whoa, then you are better than the king.
King of Warcock, and a lad of life. An imp of fame. A parent good, of fist most valiant. I kiss his dirty shoe, and from heartstring I love the lovely bully. What is thy name?
Harry Leroy.
Leroy? A Cornish name? Oh, that was Cornish clue.
Oh, I'm a Welshman.
Knowest thou Fluelen?
Yes.
Tell him, I'll knock his leak about his pate upon St. David's Day.
Oh, do not you wear your dagger in your cap that day, lest he knock that about yours.
Art thou his friend?
And his kinsman, too.
Ah, figo for thee, then.
Thank you. God be with you.
My name is Pistol Cow.
It sorts well with your fierceness.
Captain Fluelen, so, in the name of Jesus Christ, speak the word.
It is the greatest admiration in the universal world when the true and ancient prerogatives and laws of the wars is not kept. If you would take but the pains to examine the wars of Pompey the Great, I warrant you shall find that there is no tittle-tattle nor pibble-pabble at Pompey's camp.
Why the enemy's loud? You hear him all night.
If the enemy is an ass and a fool and a prating coxcomb, is it meet, think you, that we also as you should be an ass and a fool and a prating coxcomb in your own conscience now?
I will speak lower.
I pray you, and beseech you, that you will. Man is farm, in techan, in rechan, in neidin,
Though it appear a little out of fashion, there is much care and valor in this Welshman.
John. Fate. Is not that the morning which breaks yonder?
I think it be. But we have no great cause to desire the approach of day.
We see yonder the beginning of the day, but I think we shall never see the end of it. Who goes there?
No. A band.
Under what captain serve you?
Under Sir Thomas Erpingham.
Good old commander, and a most kind gentleman. I pray you, what thinks he of our estate?
Oh, even as men racked upon a sand that look to be washed off the next tide.
He hath not told his thought to the king.
No, not it is not meet that he should. Though I speak it to you, I think the king is but a man, as I am. The violet smells to him as it doth to me. His ceremonies laid by, in his nakedness he appears but a man, and though his affections be higher mounted than ours, yet when they stoop with a like wing. Therefore, when he sees reasons of fears as we do, his fears out of doubt be of the same relish as ours are. Yet in reason, no man should possess him with any appearance of fear, lest he, by showing it, should dishearten his army.
He may show what outward courage he will. But I believe, as cold a night as 'tis, he can wish himself in Thames up to the neck. So I would he were. And I'd buy him at all adventures so he would quit here.
Oh, by my troth, I'll speak my conscience of the king. I think he would not wish himself anywhere but where he is.
Then I would he rear alone. Or should he be sure to be ransomed and many a poor man's life saved?
Methinks I could not die anywhere so contented as in the king's company. His cause being just and his quarrel honourable.
That's more than we know.
Aye. Or more than we should seek after. We know enough if we know we're the king's subjects. If his cause be wrong, then our obedience to the king wipes the crime of it out of us.
But if the cause be not good, the king himself hath a heavy reckoning to make. When all those legs and arms and heads chopped off on such a day shall join together at the latter day and cry, oh, we died at such a place. Some swearing, some crying for surgeon, Some upon their wives left poor behind them, some upon the debt they owe, some upon their children rawly left. I'm afeard that few die well that die in a battle. For how can they charitably dispose of anything when blood is their argument? If these men do not die well, 'twill be a black matter for the king that led them to it, who to disobey were against all duty.
So, if a son that is by his father sent about merchandise to sinfully miscarry upon the sea, the imputation of his wickedness by your rule should be imposed upon his father that sent him. Or if a servant under his master's command transporting a sum of money be assailed by robbers and die in many irreconciled iniquities, you may call the business of the master the author of the servant's damnation. But this is not so. The king is not bound to answer the particular endings of his soldiers, the father of his son or the master of his servant, for they purpose not their deaths when they purpose their services. Besides, there's no king, be his cause never so spotless, if it come to the arbitrament of swords, can try it out with all unspotted soldiers. Some peradventure have on them the guilt of premeditated and contrived murder. Some with beguiling virgins, with the broken seals of perjury, and some making the wars their bulwark that before gore the gentle bosom of peace with pillage and robbery. Now, if these men have defeated the law and outrun native punishment, though they can outstrip men, they have no wings to fly from God. War is his vengeance. War is his needle. Then if they die unprovided, no more is the king guilty of their damnation than he's before guilty of those impieties for which they are now visited. Every subject's duty is the king's, but every subject's soul is his own.
'Tis certain every man that dies ill feels upon his own head. The king's not to answer for it. Do not desire he should answer for me, and yet I'm determined to fight lustily for him.
I myself heard the king say he would not be ransomed.
Aye, he said so to make us fight cheerfully. But when our throats are cut, he may be ransomed, and we're near the wiser.
If I live to see it, I'll never trust his word after.
You pay him, then. That's a perilous shot out of an elder gun that a poor in private displeasure can do against a monarch. You may as well go back to turn the sun to ice with fanning in his face with the peacock feather. You'll never trust his word after. Oh, come. 'Tis a foolish saying.
Your approval is something too round. I shall be angry with you at the time of convenience.
Let it be a quarrel between us, if you live.
I embrace it.
How shall I know thee again?
Give me any gauge of thine, I will wear it in my cap. Then if ever thou darest challenge it, I will make it my quarrel.
Here is my glove. Give me another of thine.
There.
This also will I wear in my cap. If ever thou come to me after tomorrow and say, this is my glove, by this hand I will kick thee a box of the ear.
But if ever I live to see it, I will challenge it.
Thou darest as well be hanged.
I will do it, even though I kick in the king's company.
Be friends, you English fools, be friends. They're French quarrel enough, as you can tell out of record.
Keep thy word. Fare thee well.
On the king. That is our lives, our souls, our debts, our careful wives, our children, and our sins lay on the king. We must bear all. Oh, hard condition, twin-born with greatness, subject to the breath of every fool, whose sense no more can feel but his own ringing. What infinite heart's ease must kings neglect that private men enjoy? And what have kings that privates have not too, save ceremony, save general ceremony? And what art thou, thou idle ceremony? What kind of God art thou that sufferest more of mortal griefs than do thy worshippers? What are thy rents? What are thy comings in, O ceremony? Show me but thy worth. What is thy soul of adoration? Art thou aught else but place, degree, and form, creating awe and fear in other men, wherein thou art less happy being feared than they in fearing? What drinkst thou off, instead of homage sweet, but poisoned flattery? Who be sick, great greatness, and bid thy ceremony give thee cure? Canst thou, when thou commandst the beggar's knee, command thy health of it? No, thou proud dream, that playest so subtly with a king's repose. I am a king that find thee, and I know 'tis not the balm, the scepter, and the ball, the sword, the mace, the crown imperial, the intertissued robe of gold and pearl, the farcid title running for the king, the throne he sits on, nor the tide of pomp that beats upon the high shore of this world, nor not all these thrice gorgeous ceremony, nor all these laid in bed majestical can sleep so soundly as the wretched slave, who with a body filled and vacant mind gets into rest, crammed with distressful bread, never sees horrid night, the child of hell, and like a lackey from the rise to set sweats in the eye of Phoebus, and all night sleeps in Elysium. Next day, after dawn, doth rise and help Hyperion to his horse, and follows so the ever-running year with profitable labor to his grave. And but for ceremony, such a wretch, winding up days with toil and nights with sleep, at beforehand and vantage of a king.
My lord, your nobles, jealous of your absence, seek through your camp to find you.
Good old knight. Collect them all together to my tent. I'll be before thee.
I will, my liege.
O God of battles, steel my soldiers' hearts. Possess them not with fear. Take from them now the sense of reckoning, lest the opposed numbers pluck their hearts from them. Not today, O Lord. Oh, not today. Think not upon the fault my father made in compassing the crown. I, Richard's body, have interred anew, and on it have bestowed more contrite tears than from it issued forced drops of blood. 500 poor I have in yearly pay, who twice a day their withered hands hold up towards heaven to pardon blood. And I've built 2 chantries, where the sad and solemn priests sing still for Richard's soul. All will I do. But all that I can do is nothing worth, since that my penitence comes after all. Imploring pardon.
My liege!
I know thy errand. I will go with thee. They, my friends, and all things stay for me.
Stay tuned. The Wars of the Roses will continue in 1 minute.
Arts, this season on TV Ontario. Shakespeare's epic tale of love, murder, and treason is making its world television premiere this fall on TV Ontario's Full House, Wars of the Roses. Imprint's new host Daniel Richler provides weekly profiles of authors. Find out more about writers by watching Authors at Harbourfront. Desmond's is back by popular demand and features 13 new episodes this season. Science fiction, fantasy, and comics of the realm of Prisoners of Gravity. Films such as Angry Harvest will be featured on J. Scott's Film International. Arts this season on TV Ontario.
Horsemen sit like fixed candlesticks with torch staves in their hands, and their poor jades lob down their heads, dropping the hides and hips, the gum down roping from their pale dead eyes. And in their pale dull mouths the gimmeled bit lies foul with chewed grass, still and motionless, and their executors, the knavish crows, fly o'er them all, impatient for their hour. Description cannot suit itself in words to demonstrate the life of such a battle in life, so lifeless as it shows itself.
The stand up, Gilda armor! Up, my lord!
Montier, cheval!
My horse! My horse! Do but behold yon poor and starving man, and your fair show shall suck away their souls, leaving them with the shales and husks of men. There is no work enough for all our hands. Scarce blood enough in all their sickly veins to give each naked curtal act a stain. Our French gallants shall today draw out and sheathe for lack of sport.
Let us but blow on them. The vapor of our valor will o'erturn them.
And very little let us do, and all is done.
Ah, how our steeds for present service, nay.
Mount them, and make incision in their hides, that their hot blood may spin in English eyes.
The English are embattled, you French peers.
They have killed their prayers, and they stay for death.
Shall you send them dinners?
And fresh suits, and give their fasting horses provender.
And after, fight with them!
Why do you stay so long, my lords of France?
And let the trumpet sound! Our approach shall so much dare the field, that England shall couch down in fear and yield.
Where's the king?
The king himself rode to view their battle. Of fighting men they have full 70,000.
There's 5 to 1. Besides, they all are fresh.
God's arm strike with us, 'tis a fearful odds. Well, goodbye, my lords. On to my charge.
Dumb that we now have here but 1/10,000 of those men in England that do no work today.
What do you wish so? Oh, my cousin, Westmoreland. No, my fair cousin.
If we are marked to die, we're enough to do our country loss. And if to live, the fewer men, the greater share of honor. God's will, I pray thee, wish not one man more. By Jove, I am not covetous for gold, nor care I who hath feed upon my cost. It yearns me not if men my garments wear, such outward things dwell not in my desires. But if it be a sin to covet honor, I am the most offending soul alive. No, faith, my coz, wish not a man from England. God's peace, I would not lose so great an honor as one man more, methinks, would share from me for the best hope I have. Oh, do not wish one more. Rather proclaim at Westmoreland, through my host, that he which hath no stomach to this fight, let him depart. His passport shall be made, and crowns for convoy put into his purse. We would not die in that man's company that fears his fellowship to die with us. This day is called the Feast of Crispin. He that outlives this day and comes safe home will stand a tiptoe when this day is named, and rouse him at the name of Crispin. He that shall see this day and live old age will yearly on the vigil feast his neighbours and say, tomorrow is St. Crispin's day. Then will he strip his sleeve and show his scars and say, these wounds I had on Crispin's day. Old men forget, yet all shall be forgot, but he'll remember with advantages what feats he did that day. And shall our names, familiar in his mouth as household words, Harry the King, Bedford and Exeter, Warwick and Talbot, Salisbury and Gloucester, be in their flowing cups fleshly remembered. This story shall the good man teach his son, and Crispian shall ne'er go by from this day to the ending of the world, but we in it shall be remembered. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. For he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother. Be he ne'er so vile, this day shall gentle his condition. And gentlemen in England now abed shall think themselves accursed they were not here, and hold their manhood's chief was any speaks that fought with us upon St. Crispin's day.
My sovereign lord, bestow yourself with speed. The French are bravely in their battle set, and will with all expedients charge on us.
All things are ready, if our minds be so.
Where is the line? His mind is backward now.
Oh, thou dost not wish more men from England, cuz God.
Well, my liege, but you and I alone without more help could fight this royal battle.
Aye, now thou hast unwished 5,000 men, which likes me better than a wisher's one. You know your places. God be with you all.
Once more I come to know of thee, King Harry, if for thy ransom thou wast now compound. Before thy most assured overthrow. For certainly thou art so near the gulf, thou needs must be inglutted. Besides, in mercy, the Constable desires thee, thou would mind thy followers of repentance, that their souls may make a peaceful and a sweet retire from off these fields, where wretches their poor bones must lie and fester.
Who hath sent thee now?
The Constable of France.
I pray thee, bear my former answer back. Bid them achieve hunting him. How many of our bodies shall no doubt find native graves, upon the which I trust shall witness live in brass of this day's work. And those that leave their valiant bones in France, dying like men, though buried in your dunghills, they shall be famed. There the sun shall greet them and draw their honors reeking up to heaven, leaving their earthly past to choke your clime, the smell whereof shall breed a plague in France. Let me speak proudly. Tell the Constable we are but warriors for the working day. Our gainers and our guilt all besmirched with rainy marching in the painful field. By the mass our hearts are in the trim. And my poor soldiers tell me, yet ere night they'll lie in fresher coats, or they will pluck the gay new robes of the French soldiers' heads and turn them out of service. If they do this, as if God please they shall, my ransom then will soon be levied. Herald, save thou thy labor. Come no more for ransom, gentle heralds. They shall have none, I swear, but these my joints. Which if they have, as I will leave them, shall yield them little. Tell the Constable.
I shall, King Harry, and so fare thee well. Thou never shalt hear a herald any more.
I fear thou'lt once more come again.
My liege, most humbly on my knee, I beg the leading of the power.
Take it, brave knight. Now, soldiers, march away. And how thou pleasest, gods, dispose the day!
Art thou a gentleman? What is thy name? Disgust! Oh, Seigneur Dieu! Seigneur Dieu should be a gentleman. My word. Oh, Seigneur Dieu.
And mark, or senior Joe, thou diest on point of fox, except, seigneur, thou dost give to me a grievous ransom.
Comprenez, vous aurez combat pitié de moi.
Moi, shall I serve? I shall afford him moi, or I will fetch the rim out of thy throat in drops of crimson blood.
Il est possible de choper le feu tout en bras.
Rascal! Thou damned and luxurious mountain goat! Offerest me brat!
Pardonnez-moi!
C'est ça, Mito. Is that a ton of moi? Come here, boy! Ask me this slave, in French, what is his name?
Good day. Comment tu appelé?
Jules Vert.
Says his name's Master Fur.
Oh, Master Fur. I'll fur him, and fur him, and ferret him. Oh. Discuss the same in French unto him.
I don't know the French as far as Burke and Fuck.
Bid him prepare, for I will cut his throat.
Que dit-il, monsieur?
Le commander vous dit que vous faites pour près. Car ce soldat ici est disposé. Tout est cette heure de couper votre gorge.
Oui! Coupez les gorges! Per ma foi! La peasant. Except thou dost give to me brave crowns, or mangled shalt I be by this my sword.
Je vous supplie pour l'amour de Dieu, mais pardonnez. Je suis le champion de mon maison. Gardez ma vie, je vous donnerai de son sécu.
Worried words.
He prays you to save his life. He's a gentleman of a good ass. For his ransom, I'll give you 200 crowns.
Tell him my fury shall abate, and I the crowns will take.
Si, monsieur, que dit-il?
Encore, qu'il est contre ce jugement de pardonner un comme prisonnier. Et moi, pour les écus que vous l'avez promis, il est content de vous donner la liberté, le franchissement.
Selon mes genoux, je vous donne 1000 remerciements. Et je me stimerai que je suis tombé entre la main d'un chevalier, je pense, le plus brave, Fluelen, et très distingué seigneur d'Angleterre.
Expound unto me, boy.
He gives you upon his knees 1,000 thanks, and he esteems himself happy that he has fallen into the hands of one, as he thinks, the most brave, valorous, and thrice-worthy senior of England.
As I suck blood, I will some mercy show. Follow me!
Suivez-vous le grand capitaine. I did never know so full a voice issue from so empty a heart. But the saying's true. The empty vessel makes the greatest sound. Barred open him, and 10 times more valor than this roaring devil. And they're both hanged. So would this be. If he durst steal anything adventurously. Well, I must stay with the lackeys, with the luggage of our camp. The French might have good prayer of us if they knew of it. But there's none to guard it, boys.
Hell have we done, thrice valiant countrymen? But all's not done, yet keep the French the field. The Duke of York commends him to your mettle. Lives he good uncle, thrice within this hour I saw him down, thrice up again, fighting from helmet to the toe, all bloody was. In which array praise token that he lies, and by his side, the Earl of Suffolk. Suffolk first died, and York, all haggled o'er, comes him, and takes him by the beard, and kisses the gashes that bloodily did yawn upon his cheek. He cries aloud, "Tarry, my cousin Suffolk!" He smiles me in the face, reaches me his hand, and with a feeble grip says, "Dear my lord, commend my service to my sovereign." And all my mother came into mine eyes and gave me up, but see it. I blame you not. For hearing this, I must perforce compound with wistful eyes, for this you too.
But hark! What new alarm is this, dame? The French have reinforced their scattered men! Let every soldier kill his prisoners! Give the word through! Kill all the prisoners! Kill the prisoners! Kill the prisoners! Kill the prisoners!
What prisoner?
Piece of knavery. What you know? Oh, that can be offered. Anywhere on conscience now, is it not?
It's certain. There's not a boy left alive. The cowardly French rascals that ran from the battle have done this slaughter. Besides, they have burnt and carried away all that was in the king's tent, whereupon the king most worthily hath ordered every soldier to cut his prisoner's throat, or 'tis the gallant king.
Aye. He was born at Monmouth, Captain Gower. What call you the town's name where Alexander the Big is born?
Alexander the Great.
Why, I pray you, is not big great? The big or the great or the huge or the mighty or the magnanimous is all one reckoning. Tis the phrase is a little variations I heed.
Alexander the Great was born in Macedon. His father was called Philip of Macedon, as I take it.
I think it is in Macedon where Alexander is born. I tell you, Captain, if you look in the maps of the world, I warrant you shall find that in the comparison between Macedon and Monmouth, that the situations of you is both alike. There is a river in Macedon, and there is also moreover a river at Monmouth. It is called Wye at Monmouth. It is out of my brains to tell you now what is the name of that other river. It's all one. It's as alike as my fingers is to my fingers. And there is summons in both. If you mark Alexander's life well, Harry of Monmouth's life is come after it in different well. For there is figures in all things.
Here comes His Majesty.
I wasn't angry since I came to France. Until this instant. Take a trumpet, cousin. Ride down to the horsemen on yon hill. If they will fight with us, bid them come down or void the field they offend our sight. If they'll do neither, we will come to them and make them scour away as fit the stones enforced from the old Assyrian sling. Besides, we'll cut the throats of those we have, and not a man of them that we shall take shall taste our mercy. Go and tell them so.
Here comes the herald of the French Readiness. His eyes are hungrier than they used to be.
Now, what means this, herald, knowest thou not? That I have fined these bones of mine for ransom? Come thou again for ransom!
No, great king, I come to thee for charitable license, that we may wander o'er these bloody fields to book our dead and then to bury them, to sort our nobles from our common men. For many of our princes, woe the while, lie soaked and drowned in mercenary blood. So do our vulgar drench their peasant limbs in blood of princes, and their wounded steeds fret, fetlock deep in gore, and with wild rage yerk out their armored heels at their dead masters, killing them twice. Oh, give us leave, great king, that we may view the field in safety and dispose of their dead bodies.
I tell thee truly, Harold, I know not if the day be ours or no. See, ere many of your horsemen fear and gallop o'er the field.
Day is yours.
Praised be God. And not our strength for it. Or was this castle court that stands hard by?
They call it Agincourt.
Then call we this the field of Agincourt, fought on the day of Crispin.
Your grandfather, and please your majesty, and your great-uncle Edward, the Black Prince of Wales, fought a most brave battle here in France.
They did, Fluelen.
Your majesty says very true. And if your majesty is remembered of it, the Welshmen did good service in a garden where leeks did grow, wearing leeks in their Monmouth caps, which your majesty know to this hour is an honorable badge of the service. And I do think your majesty takes no scorn to wear the leek upon St. David's Day.
I wear it for a memorable honor. For I am Welsh, you know, good countrymen.
All the water in Wye will not wash your majesty's Welsh blood from your body, I can tell you that. God bless it and preserve it, as long as it pleases his grace and his majesty too.
Oh, thanks, good night, countrymen.
By Jesus, I am your majesty's customer. I cannot know it. I will confess it to all the world. See, I need not be ashamed of your majesty. Praise be God, as long as your majesty is an honest man.
God keep me so.
Aye.
Now, cousin, go with him. Bring me just notice of the numbers dead on both our parts. Call yonder fellow hither. Soldier, you must come to the king. Soldier! Why wearest thou that glove in thy cap?
And please, your majesty, 'tis the gage of one that I should fight withal, if he be alive.
An Englishman?
And please, your majesty, a rascal that swaggered with me last night. Who, if alive and ever dare to challenge his glove, I've sworn to take him a box in the ear. Or if I can see my glove in his cap, which he swore as he was a soldier he would wear, if alive, I will strike it out.
Your majesty!
What thinkst thou now, Captain Fluelen? Is it fit this soldier keep his oath?
He is a craven and a villain, else, and please your majesty, in my conscience.
Keep thy vows, fellow, when thou meetst the fellow.
I will, so I live, my liege.
Whose service thou under?
Under Captain Gower, my liege.
Gower! He's a good captain. Good knowledge and literature in the war. Go on.
Go fetch him into me, soldier.
I will, my liege.
Wear thou this favor for me, and stick it in thy cap. When Alanson and myself were down, I plucked this glove from him. If any man challenge it, he is a friend to Alanson and an enemy to our person. If thou encounter any such, apprehend him and thou dost me love.
Your majesty does me as great honors as can be desired in the hearts of his subjects. I would fain see the man that hath but 2 legs shall find himself aggrieved at this glove, that is all. But I would fain see it once, and please God of his mercy that I should see it.
Knowest thou, Gower?
He is my dear friend, and please your majesty.
Prithee, go seek him. Bring him to my tent.
I will fetch him. God's will and his pleasure, Captain Gower. I beseech you now, come apace for the king. There is more good toward you, peradventure, than is in your knowledge to dream of.
Sir, know you this glove?
Know the glove? I know the glove is the glove.
I know this, and thus I challenge him.
Blood! An arrant of villain and a traitor as any in the universal world, or in France or of England.
down now, sir, you villain!
You think I'll be forsworn?
That is right, Captain Glover. I will give treason his payment in the blows, I warrant you.
I'm no traitor.
That's a lie in my throat. I charge you in His Majesty's name, apprehended. This is a friend of the Duke Alenson.
What?
No. What's the matter here? What's the matter?
Right. Please. Sir, is the villain on the picture? Look, Your Grace. He struck the glove what Your Majesty has took out of the helmet of Alenson.
My liege, this was my glove. Here is the fellow with it. And he that I gave it to in change promised to wear it in his cap. I promised to strike him if he did. I met this man with my glove in his cap, and I've been as good as my word.
Your Majesty, you know. Saving Your Majesty's manhood. What an arrant, rascally, beggarly, lousy knave it is. I hope Your Majesty is bear me testimony and witness and will avouchment that this is the glove of Alenson. But Your Majesty is give to me in your own conscience now.
Give me that glove, sir. Look. Here is the fellow of it. 'Twas I, indeed, thou promisedst to strike, and thou hast given me most bitter terms.
And please, Your Majesty, let his neck answer for it. If there is any martial law in the world.
How does that make me satisfaction?
All offenses, my lord, come from the heart. Never came any from mine that might offend Your Majesty.
It was ourselves, that is to view.
Your Majesty came not like yourself. You appeared to me but as a common man. Witness the night, your garments, your loneliness, and what your highness suffered under that shape. I beseech you, take it for your own fault and not mine. For had you been as I took you for, I made no offense. Therefore, I beseech your highness, pardon me.
Go, Uncle Exeter. Fill this glove with crowns and give it to the fellow. Take it, fellow. Wear it for a favor in thy cap till I do challenge it. Give him the crowns. And, Captain, you must needs be friends with him.
By this day and this light, fellow has metal enough in his belly. All you. Here is 12 pence for you. And I pray you to serve God and keep you out of brawls and troubles and quarrels and dissensions, and it is the better for you, I warrant you.
I want none of your money.
Come! It is with a good will. I can tell you, it will serve you to mend your shoes. Wherefore should you be so bashful? Your shoes is not so good. It is a good shilling, I warrant you, or I will change it.
Now, cousin, are the dead numbered?
Here's the number of the slaughtered French.
This note doth tell me of 10,000 French that in the field lie slain. And of this number there are but 1,600 mercenaries. The rest are princes, barons, lords, knights, squires, gentlemen of blood and quality. Here was a royal fellowship of death. Where is the number of our English dead? Edward, the Duke of York, the Earl of Suffolk, Sir Richard Ketley, Davy Gann, Esquire. None else of name. And of all other men, but 25.
Oh God, thy arm was here, and not to us, but to thy arm alone ascribe we all. When without stratagem was ever known so great and little loss on one part and on the other. Take it, God, for it is none but thine.
It is wonderful. He did us Great good.
Do your holy rites. Let there be sung non nobis and te deum. The dead with charity enclosed in clay. And then to Calais. And to England then. Where ne'er from France arrived more happy men.
Non nobis Domine, non nobis, sed nomine tuta gloriam, sed nomine tuta gloriam, non nobis Domine,
Vouchsafe to those that have not read the story that I may prompt them. Now we bear the king toward Calais, grant him there their scene. Heave him away upon your winged thoughts, athwart the sea.
Why wear you your leek today? St. David's Day has passed some 6 months.
There is occasions and causes why and wherefore, in all things. I will tell you as my friend, Captain Gower, that rascally, scold, beggarly, lousy, bragging knave, pistol, which you and yourself and all the world know to be no better than a fellow that you know of no merit. He has come to me yesterday and brings me bread and salt and bids me eat my leek. Now, it was in a place where I could not breed no contention with him. But I will be so bold as to wear it in my cap until I see him once again, and then I shall give him a little piece of my desires.
Here he comes, swelling like a turkey cock.
There's no matter for his swellings nor his turkey cock. God bless you, ancient Crystal, you scurvy, lousy knave. God bless you.
Art thou bedlam? Dost thou thirst, base Trojan, to have me fold of Parker's fatal web? Hence, I am qualmish at the smell of leek.
I beseech you heartily, scurvy, lousy knave, at my desires and my requests and my petitions. To eat, look you, this leek.
Not for Cadwallader and all his goods.
Oh, there is one goat for you. Would you be so good, scald knave? Have eat it.
Base Trojan, thou shalt die.
You say very true, scald knave. When God's will is, I will desire you to live in the meantime and eat you a little. Come. There is sauce for it. I pray you, fall to. If you can mock a leek, you can eat a leek.
Enough, Captain. You've astonished him.
Oh, I say I will make him eat some part of my leek, or I will beat his pate 4 days. Fight! I pray you. It is good for you a green wool, that you are bloody coxcomb.
Must I bite?
Yes, verily, and out of truth, and out of doubt, and ambiguity.
By this leek, I will most horribly revenge.
Boy.
I eat and swear.
Eat, I pray you. Will you have enough sauce for your leek? There is not enough leek to swear by.
Why of that could do? Thou dost say I eat.
Much good do you, scald knave heartily. Hey, I pray you, don't run away. The skin is good for your broken coxcomb. When you have occasion to see leeks hereafter, I pray you, mock at them. That is all. Good. Aye, the leeks is good. Hold you. Here is a growth.
Eh?
To heal your pain.
Main.
A groat!
Yes, verily, and in truth you shall take it, Mr. Bach, for I have another leaf in my pocket which you shall eat.
I take thy groat. In earnest, Rob revenge!
If I owe you anything, I will pay you. Then, cudgel! What by you? And keep you.
And here you were paid?
All hell shall suffer this!
You thought, because he could not speak English in the native garb, he could not therefore handle an English cudgel. You find it otherwise. Henceforth, let a Welsh correction teach you a good English condition. Fare ye well.
Does fortune play the hussy with me now? News of I, that my Nell is dead in a spittle, with malady of France, and there my rendezvous is quite cut off. Old I do wax, and from my weary limbs honor is cudgelled. Well, bored I'll turn, and something like to cut purse of quick hand. To England will I steal, and there I'll steal. And patches will I get into these scars, and swear I got them in the Calais wars.
Behold the English beach pales in the flood, with men, with wives and boys, whose shouts and claps outvoice the deep-mouthed ocean, which, like a mighty whiffler for the king, seems to prepare his way. So see him land and solemnly set on to London. So swift a pace of thought that even now you may imagine him upon Blackheath, whether his lords desire him to have borne his bruised helmet, his bended sword, before him through the city, he forbids it. Being free from vainness and self-glorious pride, giving full signal trophy and ostent, quite from himself to God. But now behold, in the quick forge and working house of thought, how London doth pour out her citizens, the mayor and all his brethren in best sort, like to the senators of the antique Rome, with the plebeians swarming at their heels, go forth and fetch their conquering Caesar in. Now in London place it. As yet the lamentation of the French desire the King of England stay at home. The Emperor's coming on behalf of France to order peace between them, and omit all occurrences, however chanced, till Harry's back return again to France.
Peace to this meeting, wherefore we are met. Unto our brother France and to our sister, health and fair time of day. Joy and good wishes to our most fair and princely cousin, Catherine. We do salute you, Duke of Burgundy, and princes, French, and peers. Health to you all.
Right joyous are we to behold your face, most worthy brother England, fairly met. So are you, princes English, every one.
So happy be the issue, brother England, of this good day and of this gracious meeting, as we are now glad to behold your eyes. Your eyes that hitherto have borne in them against the French that met them in their bent, the fatal balls of murdering basilisks. The venom of such looks, we fairly hope, have lost their quality, and that this day shall change all griefs and quarrels into love.
To cry amen to that, thus we appear.
You English princes all, I do salute you.
My duty to you both on equal love, great kings of France and England. Let it not disgrace me if I demand before this royal view what rub or what impediment there is, why that the naked, poor, and mangled peace, dear nurse of arts, plenty's joyful births, should not, in this best garden of the world, our fertile France, put up her lovely visage. Alas, she hath from France too long been chased, and all her husbandry doth lie on heaps, corrupting in its own fertility. Her vine, the merry cheerer of the heart, unpruned dies. Her hedges, even fletched, like prisoners wildly overgrown with hair, put forth disordered twigs. Her fallow leaves, the darn, hemlock, and rank fumitory doth root upon, while that the coulter rusts, that should deracinate this savagery. The even mead, that erst brought sweetly forth, the freckled cowslip, burnet and green clover, wanting the scythe, all uncorrected rank, conceives by idleness, and nothing teems but hateful dogs, rough thistles, kexes, birds, losing both beauty and utility. And as our vineyards, fallows, meads, and hedges, defective in their natures, grow to wildness, even so our houses and ourselves and children have lost, or have not learnt for want of time, the sciences that should become our country, but grow in savagery as soldiers will, who nothing do but meditate on blood, to swear, and stern looks, diffuse attire, and everything that seems unnatural, which, to reduce into our former favour, you are here assembled, and my speech entreats that I should know the let why gentle peace should not expel these inconveniences, and bless us with her former quality.
If, Duke of Burgundy, would the peace whose want gives growth to the imperfections which you have cited, you must buy that peace with full accord to all our just demands, whose tenor and particular effect you have in schedule briefly in your hand.
The king hath heard them, to the which as yet no answer has been made.
Well then, the peace which you before so urged lies in his answer.
I have but with a cursory eye all glanced the articles. Please it, your grace, to appoint some of your council presently to sit with us once more, with better heed to re-survey them. We will certainly pass our accept and peremptory answer.
Brother, we shall. Go on, Calais, to you, Brother Clarence, Brother Gloucester, Lancaster, and Westmoreland. Go with the king and take with you free power to ratify, augment, or alter as your wisdoms best shall think advantageable for our dignity. Yet leave our cousin Catherine here with us. She is our capital demand, comprised among the 4 rank of our articles.
She hath good leave.
Catherine, and most fair, will you vouchsafe to teach a soldier terms such as will enter at a lady's ear and plead his love suit to her gentle heart?
Your Majesty shall mock at me. I cannot speak your England.
Oh, fair Catherine, if you will love me soundly with your French heart, I'll be glad to hear you confess it brokenly with your English tongue. You like me, Kate?
Pardonnez-moi? I cannot tell what is like me.
An angel is like you, Kate, and you are like an angel.
Que dit-il? Que je suis semblable aux anges?
Oui, vraiment, sur votre grâce, ainsi dit-il.
Yeah, I said so, dear Catherine. I must not blush to affirm it.
Bon Dieu, les langues des anges sont pleines de tromperies.
What says she, fair one? The tongues of men are full of deceit.
Oui, that the tongues of demons is be full of deceit. That is the princess.
Oh, fair Catherine. I'm glad thou canst speak no better English. But if thou couldst, thou wouldst find me such a plain king, thou wouldst think I had sold my farm to buy my crown. See, I know no ways to mince it in love, but directly to say, I love you. Then if you urge me further than to say, do you in faith, I wear out my suit. Come give me your answer, if faith do, and so clap hands in the bargain. How say you, lady?
So votre honneur me understand well.
Marry, if you would put me to verses or to dance for your sake, Kate, why, you undid me. Now, if I could win a lady at leapfrog or by vaulting into my saddle with my armor on my back, I should quickly leap into a wife. But before God, Kate, I cannot look greenly, nor gasp out my eloquence, nor I have no cunning in protestation, only downright oaths, of which I never use till urged. If I can love a fellow of this temper, Kate, whose face is not worth the sun burning, who never looks in his glass for love of anything he sees there, let thine eye be thy cook. I speak to thee, plain soldier. If thou canst love me for this, take me. If not, to say to thee that I shall die is true, but for thy love, by the Lord, no. But yet I love thee too. And while thou livest, Kate, take a fellow of plain and uncoined constancy, but he perforce must do thee right, because he has not the gift to woo in other places. For these fellows of infinite tongue that do rhyme themselves into ladies' favors, they do always reason themselves out again. A good leg will fall, a straight back will stoop, a fair face will wither, a full eye will wax hollow. But a good heart, Kate, is the sun and the moon. Or rather, the sun and not the moon, for it shines bright and never changes, holds its course truly. Now, if thou wouldst have such a one, take me, and take me, take a soldier, take a king. What sayest thou then to my love? Speak my fair and fairly, I pray thee.
Is it possible that I should love the enemy of France?
No, it's not possible you should love the enemy of France, but in loving me, Kate, you should love the friend of France, for I love France so well that I will not part with a village of it. I will have it all mine. And, Kate, when France is mine, and I am yours, then yours is France, and you are mine.
I cannot tell what to say.
No. No. Well, I'll tell thee in French, which I'm sure will hang upon my tongue like a new married wife about her husband's neck, hardly to be shook off. Je. Compte sur la possession de France. Et quand vous avez la possession de moi. Let me see what then St. Denis be my speed. Donc. Votre France. Et vous êtes mienne. Oh, it is as easy for me, Kate, to conquer the kingdom as to speak so much more French. I shall never move thee in French unless it be to laugh at me.
Sur votre honneur, le français que vous parlez, il est meilleur que l'anglais lequel je parle.
Oh, no, faith, it's not, Kate. But thy speaking of my tongue and I thine must needs be granted to be much at one. Canst thou understand thus much English, Kate? Canst thou love me?
I cannot tell.
Can any of your neighbors tell, Kate? I'll ask them. Come, I know thou lovest me. And at night, Kate, when you come into your closet, you'll question this gentlewoman about me, and I know, Kate, you will to her dispraise those parts in me that you love with your heart. But good Kate, mock me mercifully. The rather gentle princess, because I love thee cruelly. If ever thou beest mine, Kate, as I have a saving faith within me tells me thou shalt, thou must needs prove a good soldier breeder. Shall not thou and I, between St. Denis and St. George, compound a boy, half French, half English, that shall go to Constantinople and take the Turk by the beard? Shall we not? What sayest thou, my fair flower de luce?
I do not know that.
No, 'tis hereafter to know, but now to promise. Do but now promise, Kate, to endeavour for your French bard of such a boy, and for my English moiety, take the word of a king and a bachelor. How answer you? La plus belle Catherine du monde, mon très cher et divine déesse?
Your Majesty, our false French enough to deceive the most sage demoiselle that is en France.
Now fie upon my false French, by mine honour in plain English. I love thee, Kate, by which honour I dare not swear that thou lovest me, yet my blood begins to flatter me that thou dost. Oh, now beshrew my father's ambition. He was thinking of civil wars when he got me. And therefore was I created with a stubborn outside, an aspect of iron, that when I come to woo ladies I fright them. But if faith, Kate, the elder I wax, the better I shall appear. Thou hast me, if thou hast me, at the worst, and thou shalt wear me, if thou wear me, better and better. And therefore tell me, most fair Catherine, will you have me? Take me by the hand, and say, Harry of England, I am thine. Which word thou shalt no sooner bless mine ear withal, but I will tell thee aloud, England is thine, Ireland is thine, France is thine, and Henry Plantagenet is thine. Come, your answer in broken music. Will you have me?
That is as it shall please le roi, mon père.
Nay, it shall please him well, Kate. It shall please him, Kate.
Then it shall also concern me.
Upon that I kiss your hand, I call you my queen.
Laissez, monsieur, laissez, laissez. Ma foi, je ne veux point que vous apaisiez votre candeur en baisant la main de votre indigne serviteur. Excusez-moi, je vous supplie, mon très puissant Seigneur.
Well, then I'll kiss your lips, Kate.
Laissez, mademoiselle, pour être baisé devant le nom, s'il ne pas la coutume de France.
Madam, my interpreter, what says she?
That it is not be the fashion for les ladies of France. I cannot tell what is baiser en English.
To kiss.
Your Majesty entendre better que moi.
Is not the fashion for the maids in France to kiss before they are married, would she say?
Oui, vraiment.
Oh, Kate. Nice customs curtsy to great kings. Dear Kate, thou and I cannot be confined within the weak list of a country's fashions. We are the makers of manners, Kate. And the liberty that follows our places stops the mouth of all fine forms, as I will do yours, for upholding the nice fashions of your country and denying me a kiss. Therefore, patiently, yielding. Oh, there is witchcraft in your lips, Kate. There's more eloquence in a sugar touch of them than in the tongues of the French council. And they shall sooner persuade Harry of England than a general petition of monarchs. Here comes your father.
God save your Majesty, my royal cousin. Teach you our princess English?
I would have her learn, fair cousin, how perfectly I love her. And that is good English.
we have consented to all terms of reason.
Yes, sir, my lords of England. The king has granted every article. His daughter first, then in sequel all, according to their firm proposed nature.
Only he hath not yet subscribed that. Where your majesty demands that the King of France, having occasion to write to you, should address you thus: Notre très cher fils Henri, roi d'Angleterre et héritier de France.
Nor this I have not, brother, so denied, but your request shall make me let it pass.
I pray you then, in love and dear alliance, let that one article rank with the rest, and thereupon give me your daughter.
Take her, fair son, and from her blood raise up issue to me, that the contending kingdoms of France and England, whose very shores look pale with envy of each other's happiness, may cease their hatred, and this dear conjunction plant neighborhood and Christian-like accord in their sweet bosoms, that never war advance his bleeding sword twixt England and fair France.
Amen. Amen. Now welcome, Kate, and bear me witness all, that here I kiss her as my sovereign queen.
God, the best maker of all marriages, combine your hearts in one, your realms in one. As man and wife being two are one in love, so let that be twixt your kingdoms such a spousal, that never may ill office nor fell jealousy that troubles oft the bed of blessed marriage, thrust in between the paction of these kingdoms to make divorce of their incorporate league, that English may as French Englishmen receive each other. God speak this, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Prepare we for our marriage, on which day my Lord of Burgundy will take your oath and all the peers for surety of our leagues. Then shall I swear to Kate, and you to me, and may our oaths well kept and prosperous be.
Thus far with rough and all-unable pen, our bending authors pursued the story. Little room confining mighty men, mangling by starts the full course of their glory. Small time, but in that small, most greatly lived this Star of England. Fortune made his sword, by which the world's best garden he achieved, and of it left his son imperial lord, Henry VI, in infant barons crowned king. Of France and England did this king succeed, whose state so many had the managing, that they lost France and made his England bleed, which oft our stage hath shown, and for their sakes, in your fair minds, let this acceptance take.
The ending of Henry V is a high point in the Wars of the Roses saga. The country is united under a strong monarch. Henry has brought France to its knees, and he is about to be married to the French Princess Catherine. Unfortunately for England, this period of relative stability was short-lived. Henry died just a few short years later, leaving an infant, Henry VI, to inherit the thrones of both